Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got a story for you that's been brewing in my heart for a while, a tale about the time I visited America. It wasn't just a trip, it was a wild, beautiful ride full of unexpected twists, breathtaking sights, and little treasures I brought back home. So, grab a snack, get comfy, and let's dive into this adventure together. It all started when my cousin, Lena, who'd moved to the States years ago, sent me a text, "Come visit. I've got a spare room and a list of places to show you." I'd never been to America before, and the idea of crossing an ocean to see it felt like stepping into a movie. I booked a flight from my little hometown to New York City, and 2 weeks later, I was on a plane, buzzing with excitement and a tiny bit of nerves. Landing at JFK was chaos wrapped in neon lights. The airport was a maze, people rushing with suitcases, signs in English I could mostly decipher, and the hum of 1,000 conversations. I met Lena outside, her wild curls bouncing as she waved like a maniac. "You made it," she shouted, pulling me into a hug that smelled like coffee and optimism. We hopped into her beat-up yellow car, and she said, "First stop, the real New York." I thought she meant Times Square, but nope, Lena drove me straight to a tiny diner in Queens where the pancakes were taller than my head. The waitress, a lady named Dot with a voice like gravel, slid a plate in front of me and winked. "Welcome to America, hon." That first bite, fluffy, syrup-soaked, with a side of crispy bacon, was like a hug from the universe. I knew right then this trip was going to be special. Next day, we hit the road. Lena had planned a cross-country adventure, and our first big stop was Niagara Falls. The drive upstate was a blur of green hills and quirky roadside signs. One said "World's Best Apple Pie, 5 miles," so naturally, we detoured. The pie was good, but the real magic was the falls. When we got there, I couldn't believe it, the roar of the water was deafening, like the earth itself was shouting. We took a boat, the Maid of the Mist, right up to the base. Mist soaked my hair, my glasses fogged up, and I laughed like a kid as rainbows danced in the spray. I scooped up a pebble from the shore, a smooth, gray little thing, and slipped it into my pocket. From there, we zigzagged south to Tennessee. Lena wanted me to hear real country music, so we ended up in Nashville at a honky-tonk bar called the Rusty Spur. The air smelled like beer and sawdust, and a guy with a guitar belted out a song about lost love and pickup trucks. I'm no dancer, but Lena dragged me onto the floor, and soon I was two-stepping, or at least flailing, with a crowd of strangers who cheered me on. A lady in a cowboy hat handed me a tiny guitar-shaped pin as we left. "You've got spirit, darlin'," she said. Into my bag it went, another memory to carry home. The road kept calling, and we drove west toward New Orleans. Louisiana hit me like a fever dream, humid air, jazz floating from every corner, and streets alive with color. We ate gumbo at a place called Mama Lou's, where the owner, a wiry guy with a gap-toothed grin, told us stories of Mardi Gras parades he'd led as a kid. The gumbo was spicy enough to make my eyes water, but I couldn't stop eating. On Bourbon Street, a street performer tossed me a strand of purple beads after I clapped for his saxophone solo. They clinked against the guitar pin in my bag, another piece of America to keep. Then came the big one, the Grand Canyon. We'd driven through deserts and dusty towns, and when we finally parked at the South Rim, I wasn't ready. You see pictures, sure, but standing there? It's like the earth opens up and swallows your breath. Layers of red and orange rock stretched forever under a sky so blue it hurt. Lena and I sat on the edge, well, a safe edge, and watched the sun dip low, painting the canyon gold. I found a tiny cactus flower, dried and delicate, and tucked it into my journal. It felt like the canyon gave it to me, a quiet gift from a giant place. Our last stop was California. Lena had a friend in San Francisco, so we crashed there and explored. The Golden Gate Bridge was unreal, fog curling around its red towers like something out of a fantasy book. We walked across it, wind whipping my jacket, and I picked up a seashell from the beach below. It was cracked but perfect, kissed by the Pacific. That night, we ate sourdough bread and clam chowder in bowls you could swim in, and I laughed so hard at Lena's terrible impressions of surfers that I nearly choked. The trip wasn't all smooth sailing, though. Somewhere in Arizona, Lena's car broke down, and we spent 3 hours in a gas station waiting for a tow truck. The mechanic, a guy named Rudy with grease-stained hands, fixed it while telling us about his dream to visit my country one day. I gave him a coin from my wallet, a shiny one from home, and he grinned like I'd handed him gold. "Fair trade," he said. That moment stuck with me, two strangers swapping dreams in the middle of nowhere. When it was time to fly back, my suitcase was heavier, not just with clothes, but with stories. I had that Niagara pebble, the guitar pin from Nashville, the beads from New Orleans, the cactus flower, the seashell, and even a napkin from Dot's Diner I'd scribbled notes on. But the real weight? The memories. The taste of pancakes at 2 a.m., the sound of water crashing at the falls, the feel of desert wind on my face. America wasn't just a place, it was a kaleidoscope of moments, big and small, that I'd stitched together into something mine. Back home, I spread my keepsakes on the table. They weren't much to look at, random bits and bobs, but to me, they were gold. Each one whispered a piece of the journey, the diner where I felt welcomed, the bar where I danced, the canyon that humbled me. I've still got them in a little box by my bed, and sometimes, when life gets quiet, I pick one up and I'm right back there, lost in America, found in its wonders.